911 emergency?
My name is Hanley, Hanley. I live at 5000 Alta Drive. About an hour or two ago, I killed a man.
You killed a man an hour ago?
Yes.
How did you kill him?
I think I choked him to death.
Is he still there right now?
Yes, his corpse is lying on the floor.
Okay, and who is this person?
I really don't know.
Where do you know him from?
He was coming on to me. I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know what I'm going to do. I didn't think I could kill a man. I mean, I have a dead man lying in my face.
Mostly I'm a writer, so I stay very much to myself. And they came in at a very inopportune time. I'm negotiating with two publishers. They don't come along every day. They don't come along.
Okay, but who came in at an inopportune time?
The police came in. This bastard came in at the wrong time.
Now, what I'm curious is at what point did it go from he's in there returning the story and you've had your liquor and you've offered him one to where he has you in a headlock? There are gaps missing that I want to try and fill.
I have had a little time to reflect, and I don't trust my recollections.
Right.
But I've written down here something very peculiar. I've told you that I think the man was a disturbed homosexual.
Okay.
And he definitely buggered me, as the English say, on New Year's Eve. And he apparently attempted to do it again.
Okay.
He apparently attempted to do it again, and that's where we got into it. I was close to death. I know that. I was never so close to death. I seem to be being choked. But not like that. I said to myself, I'm going to die. And I put that effort into it. And next thing, I was in charge. And it was only with this extraordinary effort, next thing he was over here. And as far as I can remember, I was pumping my fist down his mouth.
Right.
Now, this time I felt comfortable that he was dead. In other words, I was out of danger. Now I was out of danger, but I wasn't sure. That's when I picked up the carving fork. And I know I wanted to stab him several times, but I didn't. I made one stab just above his right eyebrow. I was very surprised at the sound, because I expected that the fork would just pierce through it, penetrate, sail through it, but it wasn't. It was like hitting a porcelain pot. It went like a gritty sound, and it barely stuck it.
I mean, you're to be frank with me, you're having some memory struggles.
Yes.
Okay, some details are here, some are lost. It's kind of like Swiss cheese. There are holes in places.
It's like a dream coming in and out.
All right. I don't want to alter your memory because it is what it is. I just want to tell you what they find. That it was not a fork that was used, rather it was a knife, and there were multiple stab wounds in the face and head area, with the final being the knife left, literally piercing through the cheek and left there. I don't have any more questions for you today. I mean, we're obviously going to have to come back and talk some more.
100% cooperation you can guarantee from me. And, let the chips fall where they may.
You hang tight.
Okay.
We leave, and he'll come back in here, and then you get to leave later, okay?
All right, thank you.
All right, my pleasure.
I'll talk to you soon, okay?
His glass is real bad. Can he just put it in? I mean, he's been asking for his own, but he needs a set of reading glasses.
So it looks like victim's head is sort of on the linoleum corner of the kitchen under the table. I don't know where that is in relationship to the door, the front door, but
it should all be there.
Yeah.
Yeah, he is angry.
I know.
He's still angry at that guy. If he could see him tomorrow, he'd stab him a couple more times. He's still angry. Don't you think?
Oh, yeah. It's just interesting what he's done with the guy's last name. When I first met with him, he called him Mr. Samazavda, Mr. Sinavda. He just made this sort of funny noise. And then now he calls him Mr. Strangenberg. I'll see what's next. That bastard. He called him that bastard.
Yeah. Right. Right. There's a lot of anger. Yeah. They don't have like a recreation room or a nursing facility or any of that stuff in it. This is just
like bare bones.
This is just like HUD housing, right?
Yeah.
She messed around with the bloke named Smokey. She loved him even though.
Thank you.
Thanks.
At least half an hour.
I'll stay here too.
Sure. Your call. Well, this must have been.
There's a broken glass right there. I don't know. So they must have moved the table, because, and the broken. Curtis,
Yeah.
doesn't this look like blood all over this blanket?
Is there?
Doesn't it look like?
Sure does. Wonder if that was left here. He had to lean across to get his bourbon.
Right.
Kitchen table should have been.
Yeah, it's over
Finds
there.
himself in a headlock. So they took the medication bottle according to the return, right?
Right.
Because we need to find out how many of those morphine tablets are missing from the bottle. That'll give it, because he filled the prescription that day. Where's he keep his hard drive? Oh,
Here's a bunch of stories. We should probably take these too. I could use one of these. Oh, they didn't impound the studded condoms.
there clearly was a struggle with all this crap laying on the floor. So we got that. That's true. Doesn't look like it was a surprise. What is this?
Video listed.
Keep video.
You also notice the manuscript?
Yeah. That's the manuscript that he had loaned to.
Yeah. She said this is a piece of shit, and he dropped it on the floor.
Now, where did Mr. Is it Spangenberg? Spangenberg?
It's down the end. We're walking in.
Remember seeing the heating blanket on the couch?
Yes.
Did the corner look like it was sewed? Because we don't have it. It wasn't impounded.
There's a good deal
Good
amount.
amount.
The material surrounding the heating element within the pad
Right.
was saturated with blood.
Okay.
We kind of think that it wasn't his hand that was all the way down the throat, but maybe he stuffed that down his throat. You don't think?
No, he put his hand
see
down.
it.
You could see that. You could see the blood clear to there. And
But
then
is
you-
that even
and you could see
physically
teeth marks.
possible?
Yes. Sure. The medical examiner.
It was pretty apparent when he lifted his hand up.
The medical examiner, when we told him that, examined the mouth and the throat and said, "Yeah, it's entirely possible he did that."
Yeah, because when we kept looking at the pictures going back and forth, and then
You can see that line. That's what it
Yeah,
looked
no,
like
I
in
can
person.
definitely see that
Right,
line.
but up close you could see there was a distinct line, and it was just kind of pink. And when he held his hand up, we both went, "Oh shoot!"
I don't think Kubachev could really say for sure that that's what caused it. It could have been from the fight, but yeah, he said it was definitely possible for someone to do that.
So did you have any idea what the heating blanket was? Did anybody give you any indication of that?
If I can logically fit it into what occurred, I would have, but It's getting into the only two people that know what truly transpired step by step. One of them's dead, and the other one's got an attorney now.
Right.
So, and those wounds to the neck, the fact that it's a knife and the number of wounds to the neck. I mean, I've attended homicide investigation training seminars for years and years.
A lot of time organizing it.
Whenever they cover homosexual rage murders, that's exactly what they say. They are almost always stabbed a huge number of times, and it focuses generally the face, the neck, and the genitals.
And we're going to talk to Kubitschek, too, a little more about the eyes. Did you notice that right away when you walked in? Just...
Yeah, it was very apparent.
Okay.
The injury to the eyes. You look at the preparation photos at autopsy, you can really start to see the discoloration of the eyes, more so than at the scene. Mm-hmm. And it was striking how much injury and violence were inflicted upon them.
All rise. Department 5 official court is now in session. Honorable Jackie Glass, please be seated and come to court.
Okay, good morning. We got a lot of people here, so I'd appreciate it if everybody kind of held it down. Bottom of 8, Derac Hanley, 221038. Mr. Hanley's present. You can sit down, Mr. Hanley.
Good morning, Judge.
Good morning. Curtis Brown, Andrea Luem on behalf of Mr. Hanley.
All right. And Mr. Tanasi's here from the state. When do we want to set this trial?
As soon as possible, Your Honor. I would...
Okay. Let's talk to Sandy and see what we've got.
Right.
The August 14th.
Judge, I've already spoken with Miss Luem. We've tried to come up with a date ahead of time. I have a wedding to attend, and then La Madrid starts at the end of August, as Your Honor is well aware. We'll be trying that case in August.
How about, what do I have the week of September 5th, Labor Day week?
Nothing.
Are you here?
Out of town, Judge. That's Labor Day, the Labor Day weekend, right? So Monday's the holiday, and then Tuesday.
You got to quit traveling.
Sorry, Judge. I have a lot of weddings to attend back east this year.
Set it for the 14th.
That's fine.
Sure.
It'll be August 14th at 10 a.m. for jury trial. Calendar call August 8th at 8:30.
I can't, if I have to wait to accommodate everybody's schedules, nothing would get done. There you go. That's the date. Thank you very much.
All right, here's what's going on with Hanley. The big problems are the evening of the killing. He had taken his 2 morphine tabs, prescription, because he's in a lot of pain, and drank. He and the other guy had cleaned up a 750 milliliter of whiskey. Well, we didn't plead it as insanity, because it's all alcohol and drug-induced, and I don't know if we'd have really made it. But the problem we're at is we are bouncing in and out of reality and fantasy, and we can't get a real foothold on what facts might be real and what facts might be perceived. I think we need to just kind of dance around it, but still claim self-defense. Because there are enough legitimate facts of, they had a fight, our client was at his house by himself, this guy shows up, whatever caused the fight's not entirely clear, but they did have a fight. It just may... Some of what he was perceiving as they were fighting may not have been as real as he thought.
You're literally in that little middle ground that we're talking about with the state having to prove that it wasn't self-defense as opposed to you having to prove that it was.
And Annie raised a good point. She wants
Maybe
to...
that's your whole focus.
She wants to spin the analogy as to asking the jury, instead of Derac being an old 71-year-old man, pretend he's a 7-year-old woman. And everything else happens exactly the same. He resists the pass, gets physical, the other guy gets physical, they get into a fight, stabs him to kill him. Because when you're 70, maybe he was stronger, maybe he wasn't. You don't know. I mean, that's The whole point is you're just fighting for your life.
The dead guy's drunk also.
Yeah.
Extremely. Well, whatever this guy is, the other guy's the same damn thing.
Point
out
the other guy's dead.
Yeah, they're both the same thing.
0.275. And
Did that again? Yeah.
Yeah, and the Quest guy says our guy is at least as drunk. Probably his BAC is probably much higher, plus the 60 milligrams of morphine. So
the guy shouldn't be violent and looking for a fight.
He's not.
If he's got morphine.
He's not. Yeah. Your guy grabs a knife at some point. I mean,
Gets it out of the kitchen drawer.
well, we don't know that for sure. They're going to say that he walked into the kitchen, opened the drawer, took.
According to the client, the victim may have brought it with him.
No, according to our client, the neighbor who hates him came over while he was passed out on the couch, stabbed the guy who was unconscious from a heart attack, and then somehow left the knife and
that's
framed
a wicked
him.
prank. Well, you didn't tell us your guy didn't do it.
There's many theories.
Well, I mean, we've got, here's where we are. We're going through our whole case. We got our whole theory. He's looking at pictures of the knife. That is not my knife. Later on, we're talking about, because he thinks he stabbed him with a fork, and we're saying, okay, well, maybe he stabbed him with the fork.
That's what he told the cops.
Did I? So he's still hoping that maybe he didn't stab him. Oh, he'll fight you to the day on that. I didn't stab him with a knife, I stabbed him with a fork.
I only
Big
poked
fork.
him one time in the forehead to see if he was dead.
I just wanted to see if he was done.
I poked him right here above his eyebrow, and I was very surprised that it didn't go in further.
Well, no. He says that he had his hand down his throat, which would be asphyxia, but there's no evidence of
Probably
asphyxia.
unconscious when he's being stabbed.
Probably unconscious.
Because he's got no defensive wounds. And he's stabbed so many times on his face and neck.
That's a hard pitch for self-defense if he's unconscious.
Stabbing him
when
after
being
he's already
stabbed.
unconscious.
I'm like some kind of hybrid insanity better all the time.
He doesn't know that he's dead or not dead.
The neighbors heard a loud argument and furniture bumping around and stuff.
What happened at the time?
So there was an argument. Two people.
I mean, I guess if you argue that the first stab killed him, and then the guy just continued to stab him because he was all, upset about the fight. How many times did he stab him? Can't even count?
There are a lot of
overlays. I've counted
slashes.
probably about at least 25.
Oh.
No.
That's bad.
It's a bad.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's always been a bad fact.
Oh, where's Paglini's reports?
Paglini.
See, I wonder if they're going to try and say that the statement he gave was not true. That's not what really happened because he's kind of out of it and has memory loss and dementia or whatever, and that he's into writing these novels and conspiracy theories, and so he made it all up.
Well, that's kind of what that's what I got from this. Not that he was like this creative mind, but that his memory was like that he could forget something right after it happened.
Yeah.
Which I think is hilarious because they always say, "Oh, I can't remember what happened after that."
I don't really see how that helps them, though. Just because he forgets it doesn't mean it didn't happen.
Oh. The one thing that's important is that I read, it said whatever mental issues that he has, it causes him to overreact to situations, which I think is pretty funny because they're going to say, our argument against self-defense is going to say, if this is really self-defense, why did he keep going at the defendant? Why did he stab him so many times? And they're going to say his mental condition causes him to overreact to situations. So even though he was just defending himself, he went above and beyond because of this mental condition that he has where he exaggerates. I thought that was funny. I remember reading that. There was a lot of information he could recall, yet some information is cloudy. He discussed how he felt drugged and exhibited paranoid thought content. So maybe he's going to say that when they took the drinks of bourbon, that the victim drugged him and then came on to him and then tried to hurt him when he wouldn't agree to his sexual advances, and then that's when Hanley protected himself or defended himself, is what I'm thinking. Because he specifically made the comment that he felt drugged. And I don't think this case is going to deal at all.
No, I don't think so, because didn't they want...
They want probation.
Probation.
And I don't
No, we're not giving you probation.
No, so I think this is...
Doesn't matter how old you are, when you kill somebody like that, you don't get probation.
Why don't you look around and if there's any thing you want me to move or get rid of her. I gotta put this. I gotta blow this candle out.
As long as he's able to.
Stuff like that. I want you to release your hands. I already asked the doctor. So I'm going to put these on your legs for now. I'd like to take them off and get ready to go. But I'm going to release your hands, okay?
Is this okay?
She's got some things she needs you to write.
Okay. And it's online if you need to get anything off the internet or.
Keep in mind, don't take off running. I haven't had to shoot anybody all week.
I just stick all my stuff in this drawer because I don't like it. Okay, I'll be back. Do you have a pencil? Who has a pencil?
Where were you born?
I was born in a place called Carlow, Ireland.
Is it C-A-R-L-O, Carlow?
C-A-R-L-O-W.
And how long did you live there?
I left when I was 18.
Okay. And where'd you go?
I went to Spain briefly.
Mm-hmm.
Then I went to Canada. And I was primarily interested in learning languages. And so I went there, and a guy I'd buddied up with talked me into going to Montreal, and then we went from Montreal to Toronto. And I never learned French.
What were you doing for work?
Anything I could get.
All right.
Then I came to the United States because I was gravitating. I liked the American culture, so I went to New York.
So what year is this about?
55.
Oh, okay. Very good. Let's go over kind of your medical history. What kind of, have you ever had a concussion? Have you been knocked out?
Yes, I had a very severe concussion.
And when was it?
In 1963.
And what happened?
I went over a cliff in Colorado. I was pronounced dead at the scene.
Was it in your car or?
Yeah.
Okay. Looking back, do you feel like there was a pretty big change in you from before and permanently afterwards?
Yeah, it was definitely a different personality. Is that possible?
Well, it certainly is after concussion. Yeah. What other medical conditions have you had to deal with?
I've been very, very healthy until the last 10 years or so. I had a very severe case of sciatica. The pain got progressively worse and worse and worse until up to about December of this past December. And the pain pills wouldn't work anymore. The pain was so excruciating. Then I started drinking. Mm-hmm. It helped.
And when I read through some of the information that I have on you, part of what you mentioned is that you were drinking, I don't know if it was bourbon or something, and quite a bit of it at a time.
Yes,
was that just in that period around all this happening, or has this been going on for years where you've been drinking that kind of a volume?
Yeah, mostly in the last year or so.
Did that tolerance build over just a year? You were able to drink that much?
Oh, yeah, I would have been on the floor with a quarter bottle before that.
All right.
The day of the incident, which was 127, I think, that's the first time I had morphine in capsule form, because the pain was so bad that day, so bad it was driving me crazy. And on that night, it was my resolve to be unconscious until the pain went away. I was determined to get free of that pain for a while.
Initially, when I met him, when he was first arrested, I asked him, do you have any family or anybody I can contact to let them know that you're here? And he said, no. And I said, were you ever married? Or do you have any children? And, well, yeah, I have a daughter, but I don't know where she is. And I don't know where my ex-wife is either. So Steve was able to find them and called them to let them know, well, Michelle specifically, originally, that her father was in jail and charged with murder. I think he and Hannah have been divorced probably 12 years now, at least. Mia, his daughter, is 28 or 29. And they live in San Diego with Mia's 2-year-old son, Keenan, who has never met his grandfather.
This is at one of my godmother's house. The usual pose. You could see him most of the time in that situation.
That's my grandpa.
Yeah, that's your grandpa.
Wow.
You know who these people are?
Yeah.
Who?
No.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't
I'll
know
show
yet.
you
Okay,
later.
later.
What I could remember a lot of drinking would be when he has the pain. He would just...
Specifically migraines.
Migraine.
He would apologize in advance for the way he would be, because he had a routine of putting on a beanie, taking Advil or some Tylenol, drinking Coke, and then after that, drinking himself to silly.
Yeah, that is his only
remedy
recourse,
was
to
drinking.
Drink until he passed out.
Yeah.
So, how old were you when they got separated?
11 or 12, I think. After my parents separated, it was the beginning of a spiral in life. My dad's business faltered, and he lost his business, and he lost his house, and... No throwing, Keenan.
No throwing. That's not nice.
And this
Say
happened
yourself.
relatively quickly. Within a matter of 4 years, he was living in our apartment because he had nowhere to live. He grew increasingly frustrated that there was no work. He was getting older. There was just nothing for him.
Mhm.
So he decided that one day he was going to move to Las Vegas because it was cheaper to live out there. He thought his Social Security could go further. He thought he might be able to wait tables or something like that. But yet he is now a 60-something-year-old man.
Yeah,
You don't
to
want
do it-
him
to do that-
bussing or running tables at all.
Thank
that warm?
Yeah, it's perfect. It's just fine.
Our falling out was, I think it was in May, and I got a call at 12:30 or 1 o'clock in the morning, and it was my dad. He was obviously drunk. At this point, I'm older. I think I can stand up to him more and just, I know what's going on, and it doesn't seem right, so let's talk about you being an alcoholic. So he just told me that no, it was my teeth were hurting or something, and he was delirious, and that's why he called that late. But he was slurring when he was talking to me, and it was just quite apparent that he had been drinking. So that was that, and we just didn't talk anymore. Just that are gonna.
Recall is this. I've gone back and tried to remember the very first time I met Spangenberg. And I can't. I think it had something to do with fixing my television. That's how I think I originally met him. I forgot about him. He showed up on New Year's Eve, and as far as I know, I probably didn't remember him. And he asked me to go to the casino for a celebration, midnight celebration. I said, well, that's really nice because I'm a loner. That's the way I am. But I said, New Year's Eve, yeah, sure, okay, I'll go. And I'll come up to your place at 10 o'clock and we'll go on over to Arizona, Charlie's, whatever. And I go up there. I know that the man drugged me. I drink alone quite a lot. Sometimes I go overboard and drink too much. I know the difference between getting drunk and being drugged. Okay? He drugged me. Okay? And that's when he lowered my pants or unzipped my pants and did whatever he did. Okay? Because I have no recall. But I woke up several times and I kept going back into unconsciousness. Okay. At 4 o'clock, I finally stayed awake and I see myself exposed. I see him exposed with his head down at my buttocks. And I tried to tell him how bad this was, you know. And he's justifying it. He said, well, I didn't do anything to you, but I'm so drugged, I'm not coherent. I finally made it to my feet, and I just wanted to get out of that bloody place. The next 2 evenings, he came to my door at about 5 o'clock again, banged on the door, very rude knock. He's a very aggressive person. He's a bully, also. And I took a look out through the peek hole and just ignored it. I didn't hear from him again until the very end of the month. And he came, that same knock, and I'd forgotten about it, and stupidly I opened the door without looking out through the peek hole. Be very, very aware that he was a sexual pervert. A pervert. A homosexual pervert. That will drive me crazy anytime. That will drive me out of my mind now. If a homosexual pervert came in here now and came on to me, I'd nail him. That's the way I was raised. They're dirty, filthy bastards. Now, I'm sorry I killed a man, but I'm not sorry I stopped a pervert. Not in the least.
All right, well, let me ask you this then. Do you think that you attacked this man because of what you just described?
I didn't attack him, he attacked me.
He attacked you?
Yes. I don't attack people.
Do you know, well, based on what you just said, if a filthy, dirty pervert came in here, you would nail him.
Yes.
You may have to testify in this trial, which means you're going to need to exercise an incredible amount of self-control. And it's hard to do. You need to start thinking about that now. If you have a reaction on the witness stand, and you start spouting things on the witness stand like you did 5 minutes ago, the jury will convict you so fast you won't even have time to find out why. Because what you expressed was not fear or defense, but anger and intent.
Well, it's provoked anger.
Sure, but that's not that's manslaughter. That's that's manslaughter or second degree. That's not self-defense.
And I know that what I did, any man would have done.
Maybe true, or maybe the influence of the alcohol and the morphine combined with some other things caused a slight overreaction. That's not the point. The point is, did you have a legitimate fear for your life at some point, and you had to defend yourself?
I thought it was out. I thought it was over.
That's the focus. That's your key.
My patience for that was running very short. I'm glad that you went, because
He's getting more and more diluted. He's getting more and more. But I mean, it's not uncommon. But he takes it to another level. Talk about how sexual perverts make him angry. He's just got to kill them all.
Oh, she made him laugh.
I mean, it wouldn't be so bad if we could absolutely, affirmatively prove that this guy was what he says he was. On New Year's, the guy came over, visited him. They went to some casino nearby. I don't know. Got a little overserved. And he said he wakes up the next morning and his pants are down and the guy's laying there. And he probably had these feelings of shame, I would imagine. And he says, he must have drugged me, took advantage of me, he buggered me.
You know, that kind of thing, right? So he's got that. So anyway, the guy comes over, you know, and I don't want him in my house, but he came in. I gave him cocktails to appease him. Anyway, something happens, and they get into this tremendous fight.
He tells the police he's strangled the guy. The guy's laying in his apartment with a 12-inch knife sticking out of his face.
Yeah, and tried poking out his eyes because he read about that or learned about that in the military services, you know. To defend himself, he's doing all these things.
Wise guy.
Yeah. And
He didn't know the defense, right?
Yeah.
You went the wrong way.
But he also was telling them that, you know, that this guy made another pass at me, blah, blah, blah. Okay, fast forward. Andy and Steve find this other get referred to this other guy who lives in a different old folks' place who knows not our client, but the victim, and said, yeah, he pretty much propositioned me and put the moves on me, too. He's got no dog in this fight. He's just answering questions. And so...
inherently reliable.
And there's an inherent reliability in what he has to say.
How did you guys find this other guy?
We went to the public administrator to go through the victim's stuff. There was a check written from the victim, in our case, to this guy, right, for $40 or something. And Steve and I just wanted to... We don't know anybody who knows this guy. So Steve went and called the guy and said, do you know, this Spangenberg guy? And he says, oh yeah, he used to live next door to me. And Steve says, was he gay? And he says, yeah. And he says, oh, did he ever make a pass at you? And the guy says, yeah. And we say, okay, we're coming over.
All right, Judge, we're here with the court reporter and the videographer, so I'm going to go ahead and put you on speaker. This is a defense witness. His name is Arthur DeBarge. He's 74 years old, so we're not sure if you'll be able to hear him or not, but and Andy's going to be doing the questioning of him. So we'll go ahead and get him sworn in and start.
Arthur, can you raise your right hand, please? Do you swear the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, Mr. DeBarge, do you know somebody by the name of Jerry? I think you thought his last name was Steinberg, but his name is Jerry Spangenberg. Do you remember him?
I don't know his last name.
Okay.
That I never did find out.
Okay, I can't hear him. I'm sorry. I can't see him. I can't hear him. I'm
Do you want to sit over here?
totally not able to report this.
How about you and I switch seats, and I'll stand right here.
We can move that chair back. I could put it on.
Well, but it looks like he's leaning on it. I don't want him to
That was
lose
why I
his...
didn't move it before. His foot was on it before.
Yeah,
So.
yeah. Can you hear me from here? Okay. Mr. DeBarge, we want to talk to you about Jerry Spangenberg. Did you know him at one point in time?
When he lived up there in 25 West Washington.
Okay. On 2525 West Washington. Did you spend any time with him? In his apartment or at your apartment?
Well, watch TV a little bit.
Okay. You watch TV. Did you ever drink with Jerry or have cocktails with Jerry?
I had a cocktail with him, yeah.
Okay. How often do you think you saw him drinking?
Time to get up in the morning.
So pretty much all day long?
That's what he eats all me, yeah.
Okay.
Can I have that,
all right.
that pill?
No, because you already had the pill.
We're almost done, and we promise we'll get out of your way, okay? I just don't want you taking any kind of morphine right now if it's going to affect your ability to think about this, okay? Now, when you knew Jerry, did Jerry ever tell you... Did you know if Jerry was gay?
No, but I found out he was.
Okay, how'd you find out that he was? Do you remember telling me last week that Jerry told you that he was gay?
He never told me.
He didn't? Okay. Do you remember telling me that at one time he made a sexual advance at you and you told him that you weren't interested?
Yes, he did.
Okay. When you were hanging out with Jerry and he was drinking, did he ever show that he had a temper to you?
Yeah, but I guess the boys down on 25 West Washington said they did.
Objection, hearsay.
Judge Sonia lodged an objection on the hearsay, and I propose we go with the answer, and then if it's ruled on later, we would just edit that out. What's that? Okay, Judge, thank you.
Okay, I'm not going to ask you any more questions right now. I think one of these two ladies is going to talk to you for a little while. And thank you.
Arthur. Mr. DeBarge, you said that one time Jerry made a sexual advance towards you, right? Yes? Is that a yes?
Yes.
And after that, you were still friends with Jerry, weren't you?
No.
No?
I told him to stay the hell away from me.
Did you? And did he do that?
Yes, he did.
Okay. So you didn't have any problems with him after that, did you? I don't have any more questions for you right now, Mr. DeBarge. Thank you.
Okay, Judge, we're all set here. We're going to close up shop. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, Judge. We appreciate it.
All right.
Hey, Grandpa, we're gonna get out of your way, okay? You can take whatever medicine you want now.
That's crazy, huh?
What would be the worst possible scenario for you?
Worst would be to sentence me to...
Life in prison.
Well, no, I doubt that that's going to happen.
Well, if you're convicted of first-degree murder, the judge doesn't have any choice.
Well, first-degree murder, you know, that would be preposterous.
If you say it's preposterous, I think it's unlikely. I would never use the word preposterous because you've been charged with it. Juries in this town are not predictable. People are not predictable. You don't know how they're going to receive the information. So our job is to make sure we start chopping off the various heads of this beast from the top down. And we're going to start by chopping off premeditated murder. We're building up a case now by using Dr. Consora to help us establish frame of mind at the time of the events so that we're in a credible position to be able to argue. We're working our way to second-degree murder for the same thing. The further we get to the justifiable homicide, the closer we are to really arguing over self-defense and voluntary manslaughter. We want to frame your case to where that's all we're arguing about. Okay? And the reason for that is because worst case scenario, even if a jury convicts you of manslaughter, the judge can still give you probation. Right? I mean, you don't have to go to prison under the way the statute's written, the way the law's written. The jury convicts you of second-degree murder, the judge doesn't have any discretion. It's 10 years minimum, another 10 for the weapon. If it's first degree, judge doesn't have any discretion. It's 20 years minimum, another 20 years for the weapon. It's 40 years. So we're arguing for self-defense, but in the worst case scenario, the facts come out in a way that it might possibly be a manslaughter. Does that make sense to you?
Well, I'm not quite sure what manslaughter is.
Manslaughter is a killing that's not justified, but is based upon such an irresistible heat of passion due to a provocation that we understand how it happened. It's a recognition, basically, of the frailties we have as human beings. Right. That you're not the kind of person that's going to go around and kill people, but you got provoked to a point where you could not rationally...
Yes.
That's the key word in manslaughter. In fact, it is the linchpin to a manslaughter. So, we're talking about, basically the rest of your life here. It's what's at stake. And so we need to make sure that we've got everything lined up. If we're gathering up our ammo, we're not going to go into battle until we've got all the guns loaded and everything's ready to go. And then we go and we fight.
Do we expect more witnesses? Is this all the ones that they've endorsed, and we're just assuming they're going to call all of them?
This is not all of the ones that they've endorsed.
DNA, I'll take this guy. What was his name?
Dwayne Winston.
There is a Wallace.
Yeah, we talked about Wallace. But
So it must... Well, see, Wallace and McNabb are partners.
to me, but I don't think Wallace did anything.
No.
I think Boucher may have done, but he's not even on my list.
Boucher's not here.
Add Boucher and put me for Boucher, because I don't think he did anything.
I'm going to put Wallace/Boucher.
Okay. Brotherson's is the primary CSI.
Yeah, she's CSI, so I'll do that one.
Hyatt, I don't think they're going to call.
And if they put on the bus driver or the lady,
Ready?
flip a coin. No, you can do it.
Thank you.
but just to see how it would have gone.
Okay. What's
What is
that?
Well, it's a one-bladed scissor, which is a knife, which still would have been good enough to win. But because of a defect, you got to redo it. What is that?
It's paper.
No, that's paper.
This is paper.
No, that's a knife then. If that's paper, that's a knife, so that's 1 and 1.
There's no such thing as a
Is this
knife.
paper?
Listen, anything where you have 5 fingers extended, well, this is a thumb, so
All right.
4 and a thumb, I think everyone knows it's paper. You're not going to create other items. There's no stick of dynamite.
Well, what was this then?
That's not going to happen.
You did that.
See, that's cheating.
No, that's a knife.
Called. Well, it looks like a gun to me.
Okay, a gun wins all.
Well, how does that...
All right, so we have one more roll here, ready? Now the game of psychology applies.
I know. Let me
Each
think.
one.
Let me think. Hold on. Let me review your choices.
I'm ready to go.
Okay.
God damn it.
Oh, man. Oh.
Oh,
That was mastery.
Crumptich, Shellberg, Brotherson, McNett, Kubitschek. Sorry.
Deborah Brotherson, Mark McNett.
Yeah.
Kubitschek?
Yeah.
Let me show you my opening while you're in here.
Sure.
Obviously, it's opening, and I can change it, and I probably will, but just give me an idea of what you think. I killed a man, I murdered a man. I think those two are his best things. I murdered a man's to Crumpetich. If you smile or laugh at me one more time, I'll smack you. And I killed a man is to the detective, so they'll actually hear him say that. I don't know, I like those. Those are the words of the defendant, Derac Hanley, after he brutally murdered Earl Jerome Spangenberger, 7 years...
Actually, don't do it now. I'll just look at it.
Right. But just, I wanted to know, like, in general, like that, like the thing at the very end, like how to phrase that, you know? Because I want to make sure it goes with whatever theme is in your head or what you're thinking about doing for closing. I want to make sure they match, because I hate it when things don't match.
How about something like you may not know, like, every minute detail of what happened, but you'll know that you'll know that the defendant tried to gouge his eyes out. You'll know that the defendant stabbed him multiple times.
Okay.
You'll know that,
I like that.
Something like that, like, kind of just name each thing that we are going to know, and that's, something like that. And more importantly, you'll know that, and then you can use your...
Got it. My punchline?
Yeah, your punchline.
Okay. Think it's okay, though?
Yeah, no, I think it's great.
Okay. Cool. On January 27, 2006, on 5000 West Alta, 2 men were inside the defendant's apartment, apartment 128. One of those men murdered the other. We don't have surveillance cameras that were up that day in the apartment. We don't have any still shots of what happened that night. So how do we know what happened? How do we know that the defendant is guilty of first-degree murder with use of a deadly weapon? Well, we listen to the defendant's own statement. We look at the evidence collected at the crime scene, and we listen to the coroner's testimony, and we look at the victim's body and the wounds throughout the chest, neck, and face. And at the end of this trial, You may not know every detail that happened that night, but by putting the pieces together, you will know that the defendant tried to gouge out the victim's eyes. You will know that the victim died of stab wounds to the chest, face, and neck. You will know that the murder weapon was a 12 3/4-inch knife. You will know that the victim was lying on his back when he was stabbed. And most importantly, you will know that the defendant is guilty of first-degree murder with use of a deadly weapon. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Tanasi. Okay, Mr. Brown.
Counsel. Morning, ladies and gentlemen. What this case is about, this case is really about self-defense and self-respect. On January 27th of 2006, Derac Hanley said no. You will not take advantage of me again. You will not make inappropriate sexual advances taking advantage of me when I am drunk, not again. And Derac Hanley resisted. And when he resisted, there was a fight. There was a struggle between two 70-year-old men, a fight that could be heard all the way down the hallway by the neighbors. The result of that fight, one man ended up dead, and that's why we're here today.
So they're going self-defense?
Yeah.
All the way. You know why? Because that's their only way to have acquittal. And they don't even want a voluntary.
Well, they're still gonna argue.
They're going to argue it at the end, but their main argument is self-defense. I'm in shock.
Jerome Spangenberg showed up at his door.
I'm very curious as to what really happened in that apartment.
There was a kitchen knife stuck out of his right cheek.
Did he ever say that he was in fear for his life?
No, he didn't. He says, just shoot me. Just put me in front of a firing squad and shoot me.
I'm not pleased the way it's going.
Think about how long it takes to stab, stab, stab.
Don't let this be the last chapter.